What's going on, folks? And we're back with Edgar Jones joining me live. I want to talk about something a lot of people tend to overlook. I overlook it because I don't have these weirdo problems. But I'm right-handed. Well, I'm kind of both, actually, because I write left-handed, but I shoot right-handed. So for all intents and purposes, I'm right-handed. Edgar, on the other hand, is left-handed, which makes him a weirdo. Now,
it makes you weird.
So I low-key feel sorry for you left-handers sometimes because it's like I don't see very many guns that are actually designed for people who are left-handed, and I think a lot of people overlook how important that could be in terms of just the overall shooting experience. Like so as one of these weirdo individuals, what is life like as a left-handed shooter that a lot of people tend to not be aware of?
Man, that's an interesting question, dude. I feel like the first issue I ran into as a left-hand shooter is holsters. Like having a holster for my pistol, man. That was the first issue I ran into. I had an issue with one of my holsters at the range one time, and was asking guys, did anyone have a spare holster for one of my Glocks? And no one had a holster for a left-hand shooter. So that was one of the first issues I ran into. Another not a challenging issue I ran into, but something that came up is I went out to a Costa course about 3 weeks ago. We were doing a lot of moving and shooting through vehicles and cars and stuff. So just being safe. Well, I'm the only guy in the car that's a left-hand shooter.
Gotcha.
So that was things that came up. So sometimes I feel like when I go to courses and the teacher is teaching, like after he finishes explaining to all the right-hand shooters, I'm like, hey, you got about me. So what about what does the left-hand guy do over here? But really, man, you know what, dude? Like going back to my VP9, dude, it's pretty much that gun is made for a right-hand and left-hand shooter.
Yeah, because it's completely ambidextrous.
When I got my first rifle, my AR-15, dude, like I wasn't thinking about this, so I got an AR-15 for a right-hand shooter.
Yeah.
So now just when I'm ordering weapons or I'm getting some, making sure I let them know like I'm left-handed. Don't leave me out. Please don't leave me out of this.
I think one of the benefits, though, that you guys have, at least from my perspective, is when you're in a car. Mm-hmm. Like when you're driving a car. Because one of the things for me is being right-handed and carrying at 3 o'clock. If I'm driving, it's really kind of hard to really get to your gun if you ever needed to get to it fast enough. I feel like maybe from a standpoint of, one, getting to your gun if it's on you, and then positioning your gun somewhere inside your vehicle, I've noticed that sometimes I've been in my car, I'm like, damn, I wish I was left-handed. Because I can just have whatever I need right here, and we're good to go. Am I overstating that, or is that something that you notice as a benefit?
No, that's a benefit, because I ran into that scenario when I was at the course when we was doing the shooting in the cars. Like when I was on the driving side, I'm like, cool. Like I'm on the left side. Like this is working out good. And I feel like that is a benefit of being a left-hand shooter. And being in your car. That typically when I carry, I'm carry appendix. But when I'm in my car, like I have a little magnet set up in my car. I think I told you about it. Yeah. My gun clips onto that magnet. So it's right underneath my steering wheel. So I can grab it.
That's the one that it's actual holster that clips on to the magnet, or is it the gun itself that just clips on?
So it's actually an individual piece that you screw in, and then it put the gun on that piece, and it's actually magnetic, so it just clips on and stays down.
Gotcha. So now, does that run? So you don't actually use it as your appendix holster as well, do you?
No. Okay. I do not.
So because I've thought about doing that, and I've always wondered, like, the problem is for me, like if I go in a car wash and things like that, like, do you just leave the gun there, or is it something that you always take off and put away?
So if I'm going through the car wash, I don't get out of the car. I just let them wash it and I clean it out.
So you want car wash prima donnas?
Yeah. I'm kind of lazy with my car wash. I'm kind of 50% with my car wash. But if I do get out, as I'm getting ready to exit out of my car, that's typically when I'm knowing I'm getting ready to get out of my car, I usually go ahead and go back to concealment. But if I'm just sitting in the car, man, that gun is usually sitting on that magnet. And it's amazing how I switch it up sometimes. I have a holster sometimes I put just in the right side of my seatbelt, and I keep it slid down next to my seat. Yeah. And sometimes I'll put my gun on my mat. It just depends on the situation where I'm at. Like if I'm sitting in the parking lot right now, maybe waiting for someone, like I typically like keeping that gun down by that magnet.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. Like I know for me, if I'm like sitting in the car waiting or something like that, in my truck, I have between the parking brake and it creates a little kind of crevice or a little hole where the gun literally just sits perfectly.
Right.
Now, personally, I just kind of shove the gun there without a holster, just kind of just naked, just like that. The only problem is I only do that when I'm running a double action single trigger. So if I were running like a Glock or something like that, if I did do that, it wouldn't be chambered. Only because there's nothing really guarding the trigger guard. So it's kind of, it kind of lends itself a little bit more to error in that regard. So I tend to not keep it chambered if I do that. However, if I were to keep it there and I had a double action single, I'd chamber it up and we're good to go.
Right. It just, it's kind of like what you're going on, dude. It just depends on the scenario, the situation where I'm at, what I got on, how I feel like carrying that day.
Yeah.
And I just rock with it, man. But that magnet, I mean, that is a benefit, going back on what you said, that benefit of being a left-hand shooter. Being on that driver's side, I'm actually able to get to my gun pretty fast instead of being that right-handed guy.
Yeah.
Come across. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, but since you run that magnet, so technically speaking, when you're in your car, if you carry appendix, if you're in your car, you typically have 2 guns in your car then at all times, right?
Yeah.
All right. Are they, huh? You're actually making me feel better, because for me, there's one on me, there's one in the car, and there's one in the bag that's usually with me inside the car. Yeah. And so when you go ahead.
So I typically, going back to it, I have 2 on me. So I always keep one in the back seat. Then I have that pistol that I carry, that Glock that I carry. Typically when I'm getting in the car, it's either 2 things. I'll have one of my holsters. I think I got it from Raven.
Yeah.
It's a 2-belt. It's a 2-clip that's just good for like basketball shorts or sweats or something. I usually kind of just slide it down on the right side. And then sometimes I'll just take it out of that holster and put it on that magnet.
Gotcha.
Typically if I'm carrying appendix, I won't use that big Codex holster. I go to that Raven. I think you put me on the Raven.
Yeah, the Raven Raven Vanguard.
Yeah, the Vanguard. I go to the Raven Vanguard, especially if I got pants on, I got a belt on. If I know I'm getting ready to make like a short trip, like I'm going to 7-Eleven, like I had that Raven Vanguard on. If I have my pants on, Raven Vanguard, clip it on my belt. That way, because I know I'm probably going to end up getting out of the car, like in a short period of time.
Yeah. Now, go ahead.
But if I'm usually going on a nice drive for about an hour or 40, if I'm driving downtown or something like that, that gun is usually sitting on that magnet or it's sitting in that other Codex holster.
It's funny. A lot of people don't even realize that we have to think about all those things. You know what I mean?
Man.
Like, like you have to factor in, okay, how long is this drive? Where am I going to go? And if I have to be somewhere where my car is going to be in a parking lot for a while, I need to find a place where I can put the gun? Or if it's somewhere where I can't carry a gun, it's got to stay in my car. How do I secure it there? Things of that nature. Do you run a rifle? Do you run a truck gun, like a truck rifle?
Yeah. You do? I got one of my 6 SBRs that I keep.
Okay. I go back and forth. Like when I'm kind of usually driving around just the city, I don't usually have a rifle with me, and a lot of that stems from I don't have a secure system that I feel is safe enough for that kind of prevent people from breaking in and just snatching my stuff. Right. At least with my rifle, because right now if I'm running around with a rifle, I just throw it in the bag and throw it in the back seat. Only problem with that is if somebody does a snatch and grab, they just payday.
Yeah. So it's funny we had this conversation, dude, because it just varies with me. I got my 870, right? And then I got a Maverick 88. It's like a poor man's 870, bro. I got it from like Academy for like $170. But usually what I do, dude, is if I'm going on sometimes I may take that shotgun and put it in the back of my truck. Yeah. Just keep it underneath the seat. Like if I'm going for a nice little trip, I usually take my SBR with me, and I usually have it backpacked up with a couple other things in that backpack. Yeah. But I look at that like that Maverick 88, right? Like if someone gets it, bro, it's only like $170 I pay for that shotgun. I love the heck out of it, but rather than if that gets stolen compared to my SBR, I think I'll be a little bit more sick.
But then it's weird. It's weird though, because like I'm right there with you, but sometimes I'm like, I want to take the gun that I love. This is the gun I'll train with. This is my baby. And you want to take them with you because it's the gun you feel most comfortable with. But at the same time, like you said, if something were to happen and someone were to break in your truck and steal something, it's like, I don't want to lose my baby. Right.
I don't want to lose my baby, man. And that's kind of goes back to the point where we talked about different weapons that I shoot. I try to, instead of getting so caught up in just my pistol, my rifle, I try to start training with shotgun, pistols, rifles, to be balanced with it, man, as much as I possibly can. Yeah. Because I never know what I may have in
Which
there.
is true.
Right?
Which
if I got my shotgun, like, dude, I ain't did no work with this shotgun. So, you know, like, I'm kind of stuck at that point of, like, well, I really haven't put in the work with these weapons. Yeah. So I try to keep training with different weapons that I have.
Gotcha. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to ask you about, you know, back when you were in the NFL, just some of the particularities that certain athletes have to deal with in terms of safety, carrying guns, and just kind of that culture in general. Cool. All right. We'll be back.
Yep.